Hi, and thank you so much for joining. My name is Natasha Dominguez, and I'm an astrologer and tarot card reader, owner of Mindfulness and Mysticism. Today, I just want to talk to you a little bit about how to determine what your own personal birth or natal chart is, as well as how to interpret the top 3 points of your chart to get a better understanding of your own astrological personality. So, your birth chart, also known as a natal chart, is just a representation of the exact location of where planets and constellations were in the sky at the exact time that you were born in the exact location that you were born in. So the top 3 pieces of information you'll need to figure out what you or somebody else's birth chart looks like is going to be, of course, your date of birth, but also location, at least as far as city, state, or similar location may be, as well as time of birth. And time of birth is really important because that is going to really identify what your rising sign is. Depending on how close you are to the equator, this can change in a variety of hours because, well, we'll get into it. But if you don't know what your birth time is, I do recommend taking a look at your birth certificate. The good news is this day and age, they typically write down at least an approximate time as to what your time of birth was on that. Ask your mom, or just take a guess. Guessing can lead down the wrong direction though. I am a victim of that. So regardless, your birth chart. So this is a really cool piece of information to pull because it is, according to science, exactly where these planets and constellations were in the sky at a particular time. You can pull a chart for any day, but it's really popular, I would say, to pull a birth chart because it's thought to color your personality and character in this life. So the top 3 are typically that rising or ascendant sign that I just mentioned, really important with that time of birth. There's also your sun sign, which is what you probably already know as your traditional zodiac sign, and the moon sign. So these 3 give a really good, well-rounded representation of who you are. However, when you go deeper into birth chart or natal chart astrology, you can actually take a look at what each individual planet represents, and then look at what your planet is according to the zodiac sign in your birth chart. And utilizing those 2 understandings kind of merge it all together to create a much fuller understanding. And of course, astrology is a never-ending adventure, so it goes much deeper than that also. If you are looking for a very detailed birth chart report, that is something that I provide. I have them available on my Etsy shop, the Mystic Mind shop with an E on Etsy. I also have them on my website available for purchase at natashadominguez.com. I'll link all of that below as well. So the rising or ascendant sign. This sign is actually a demonstration really of what the constellation was on the eastern horizon at your exact time and location of birth. So it's the zodiac sign that was like incoming, so to speak. And that's why it's really dependent on the time you were born. The closer you are to the equator, the quicker that this sign could change. So really, a 4-hour time frame can potentially change this sign for you if you have an incorrect time of birth. For example, I thought I was born at 10:10 a.m. and I had a Virgo rising, which I wasn't surprised about at all. So I kind of lived my life when I was in my early 20s thinking I was a Virgo rising until I talked to my mom. I got my birth certificate and it was 10:10 p.m. So completely changed my rising sign. I'm a rising Pisces. Still not surprised, but it's still important information. So keep that in mind when you're looking up your own chart as well. But Your rising sign is basically a representation of how you appear outwardly. So what your impression is, what your first impression is, how you may appear or how people may think about you who are mere acquaintances, coworkers, things along those lines. It's can speak to a lot about how you dress or, appearance in general. And it's really obviously not who you are at your core, but it's helpful to know maybe how other people view you, so you can just bring that awareness to it a little bit more and act accordingly, so to speak. I don't know. I fully embrace all of my signs, and I think it's pretty evident, but to each their own. The sun sign is that traditional zodiac sign, of course. So this is, what's your sign? You're going to know it. This is based off of the day and month that you were born. And back in the day, people didn't really record time of birth as much. So that's why the sun sign was the most well-known, horoscope sign, so to speak. So this represents your basic personality, your basic character and temperament. So I am a Leo sun. So I don't know. I never really identified with the Leo zodiac sign as far as it's represented in traditional horoscopes. But once I discovered my birth chart and really figured out how all of these different signs interact and can play off of each other, things started to make a lot more sense. So I won't spend too much time on the sun sign just because that's your zodiac sign. You know what that is, I think. My favorite of the top three has got to be the moon sign. And this is because the moon sign is more of a representation of who you are at your core. So I always say, maybe it's a little bit about what your own internal monologue is, what your voice says to yourself when nobody's listening. It's how you act when nobody's around. It's your emotions, it's your moods, it's how you interpret information and how you internalize things, maybe even. So to know somebody's moon sign is pretty intimate in that way, because you have a better understanding as to how their habits occur, or how their habits are, habits, moods, anything that's along those lines, especially anything emotionally related, instinctual actions. So they're all so different if you look at it. You've got your rising or ascendant, which is your outward personality. You've got your sun sign, which is your just basic personality. And then you have your moon sign, which is your internal self. It's your true self and how you interact at a soul level. There's so much more to your birth chart and natal chart when it comes to this sort of astrology. This is the very tip of the iceberg, but it's, a little bit deeper than that traditional sun sign horoscope stuff that you may associate astrology with at this point. You never know. But I always like to say, if you are looking at horoscope type astrology, always look at both your sun sign and your rising sign. It will give you a much better picture as to what it might be trying to say. I don't know. So that's a little bit about the top three in birth chart or natal chart astrology. If you have any comments or feel any particular way about one of your signs, or maybe you're a triple sign or a double sign. Oh my goodness, there's so many different options. So let me know what yours looks like in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications if and when I post another video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.